Hello, my fellow Canaanite family, creepypasta lovers, and all newcomers. Tonight, I give you the story of Eliza's eternal stare. I hope you enjoy. My name is Eliza Ravenscroft, a name that once carried weight in the halls of academia but now echoes through the hollow corridors of my dilapidated mansion in Ravenwood. I was born with a peculiar defect. I could not blink. My eyes, forever wide, perpetually moist, as though they were eternally caught in a state of profound sadness or terror. In their unyielding stare, I have seen too much. As a child, this defect set me apart, a curiosity for the doctors and a pariah amongst my peers. Yet it was the same defect that propelled me into the realm of research. My eyes could see details others missed, catch nuances overlooked by others. I dove into the study of the human psyche, hoping to uncover the mysteries of the mind and perhaps, in doing so, understand my own condition. For years, my work flourished. I published papers, gave lectures, and garnered respect. I was on the verge of a breakthrough, a revelation that could redefine our understanding of consciousness, but then something changed. My condition worsened. The constant exposure to the world began to take its toll. I saw things that shouldn't be there. Shadows in the periphery, whispers in the dark. My research became my obsession, and my obsession became my madness. I retreated to Ravenwood, an ancestral home that bore my family name, and withdrew from the world. The once grand estate became my prison, the walls my keepers and the shadows my only companions. Stories began to circulate of the woman with unblinking eyes who haunted the manor, of the ghost of a brilliant mind lost to insanity. I became more myth than reality. Tonight, I write these words in a rare moment of clarity, driven by a premonition. I feel a disturbance in the air, a ripple in the fabric of my secluded existence. They are coming, the curious, the brave, the foolish. They are coming to uncover the truths behind the tales, to see if the ghost of Eliza Ravenscroft still walks the halls of Ravenwood. As the clock strikes midnight, I hear the faint sounds of steps on the gravel path leading to my home. A group of friends, I assume, drawn by the stories, the myths. They don't know what awaits them. They do not know what I've become. I watch from the shadows, my eyes unblinking as they approach the door. Their laughter and chatter drift through the midnight air, oblivious to the darkness they are about to step into. I once sought the truths of the human psyche, but now I am the truth they seek. And the truth, as they will soon discover, is far more terrifying than any tale. I could feel the moist, unblinking eyes of Eliza watching us as we made our way through the overgrown path to her house in Ravenwood. The tales had always fascinated us, and tonight we, me, Mark, Jenny, and David, decided to investigate the truth behind them. Ravenwood was eerie at night, with the full moon casting long shadows and the wind whispering secrets through the trees. Eliza's house stood at the edge of the woods, a decaying structure that seemed to groan under the weight of its history. We hesitated at the gate, a sense of foreboding settling over us. "Are we really doing this?" Jenny whispered, her voice trembling. Mark, always the brave among us, nodded. "We need to know the truth." We pushed open the rusted gate, the creaking echoing in the silence. As we approached the front door, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It's as if Eliza's unblinking eyes were already upon us, assessing, judging. The door was unlocked, and we stepped inside. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something I couldn't quite place. The house was dark, save for the faint moonlight filtering through the dirty windows. Dust motes danced in the beams of our flashlights, and the floorboards creaked under our feet. "Look at this," David said, pointing to a wall covered in old newspaper clippings and notes. "It's Eliza's research. meticulously documented and pinned up like a chaotic collage of madness and brilliance. Her handwriting was frenzied, the words almost incoherent. She was so close to something, Mark murmured, running his fingers over papers. But what? A sudden noise made us jump. It came from upstairs, a soft, almost imperceptible shuffle. We exchanged nervous glances, and against our better judgment, we decided to investigate. The stairs groaned under our weight as we climbed, each step feeling like it could be our last. At the top, a long hallway stretched out before us, lined with closed doors. The sound came again, from the far end of the hall. My heart pounded as we approached the last door. Mark reached out, turning the handle slowly. The door swung open to reveal a dimly lit room. And there she was, Eliza. She sat in a chair facing the window. Her hair was long and unkempt, cascading over her shoulders like a dark waterfall. Her skin was pale, almost translucent in the moonlight, but it was her eyes that held us captive, wide, moist, and unblinking. They seemed to see right through us, piercing our very souls. "Who are you?" Her voice was a raspy whisper, as if unused to speech. We want to know the truth," Mark stammered. Eliza's lips curled into a chilling smile. "The truth? The truth is not what you seek, for it is a burden too great to bear." We stood frozen, unable to look away from those eyes. It was as if they held a power, a knowledge beyond our comprehension. "I was close," she continued, her voice growing stronger. "So close to understanding the depths of the human mind. But my condition, it showed me things no one should ever see." "What did you see?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Darkness," she replied, "an abyss that stretches beyond our reality, filled with horrors that would drive any sane mind to madness. I tried to warn them, but they called me mad, and so I retreated here to the shadows where I could watch and wait." "Wait for what?" Jenny asked, her voice trembling. "For those brave or foolish enough to seek the truth," Eliza said, her eyes never leaving ours. "But beware, for the truth you seek may not be the truth you find." Suddenly, the room grew colder, and a sense of dread washed over us. Eliza's smile widened, revealing teeth too sharp and too many. We burst through the door and ran down the hallway, our footsteps echoing off the decaying walls of Eliza's mansion. Our frantic escape was a blur of terror and chaos. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, reaching for us as we stumbled through the darkened hallways, desperately trying to find a way out. The air grew colder with each step, and the walls seemed to close in around us as if the house itself were alive and intent on trapping us within its malevolent grasp. "Which way?" Jenny's voice was panicked, her eyes wide with fear. "This way," Mark shouted, leading us down a corridor that seemed to stretch on forever. The floorboards creaked and groaned beneath our feet, and I could feel the oppressive presence of Eliza's unblinking gaze following us. Suddenly, a door to our left flew open with a deafening bang, and Mark was yanked inside by an unseen force. His screams echoed through the hallway, chilling us to the bone. "Mark!" I yelled, rushing to the door. But as I reached for the handle, it swung open, revealing Mark sprawled on the floor, blood pooling around his severed arm. His face was pale, his eyes wide with shock and pain. "Help me!" he grasped, his voice weak. We dragged him out of the room, his blood leaving a trail behind us. David ripped off his shirt to create a makeshift tourniquet, tying it tightly around Mark's stump to slow the bleeding. "We have to keep moving," David urged, his voice trembling. "We need to find a way out." As we turned the corner, the walls seemed to ripple and shift, the wallpaper peeling away to reveal the grotesque shifting faces that leered at us with hollow eyes. The house was alive, feeding off of our fear. Jenny stumbled and fell, her flashlight rolling away. She scrambled to her feet, but something grabbed her ankle, pulling her back. She screamed, kicking at the unseen force as we rushed over to her aid. But before we could get to her, the figure slashed at her chest, leaving gashes so deep and wide that she screamed in agony. David swung his flashlight, striking something that let out an inhuman wail before releasing his grip on Jenny. We pulled her up as she limped, and we hurried down another hallway. The air grew colder, our breath visible in the dim light. The shadows seemed to writhe and pulse, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the house. "We're almost there," I panted, trying to keep the panic at bay. But the house had other plans. The floor beneath us suddenly gave way, and we plummeted to a dark, dank basement. The impact knocked the wind out of me, and for a moment, everything was a blur of pain and confusion. David groaned, clutching his leg. A jagged piece of wood protruded from his foot, blood seeping through his fingers. "Help me," he whispered, his voice strained. I crawled over to him, my own body aching from the fall. Mark was unconscious, his breathing shallow. Jenny was trying to stand, her face a mask of determination despite tears streaming down her cheeks. "We have to get out of here," she said, her voice still. "We have to." With great effort, we managed to lift David, supporting him between us. We moved through the basement, the walls closing in, the darkness almost suffocating. The growling grew louder, and I could feel eyes watching us from the shadows. We found a set of stairs leading up, and with a painstaking effort, we climbed them. Each step a battle against the weight of our injuries and the ever-present fear. At the top, we found ourselves in the kitchen, the windows boarded up, the door just ahead. "Almost there," I whispered, more to myself than to anyone else. But as we reached the door, it slammed shut with a force that rattled the entire house. Eliza's laughter echoed through the air, a chilling, mocking sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Stay together," Jenny urged, her voice shaking. "We have to stay together." The house seemed to come alive around us, the walls undulating, the shadows reaching out with clawed hands. We fought our way to the door, the growling now a deafening roar. Mark, still unconscious, was a dead weight, but we couldn't leave him behind. Just as I thought we were trapped forever, the door burst open and we stumbled out into the cold night air. We collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath, the oppressive weight of the house lifting as we moved away. But we were not unscathed. Mark was in critical condition, his severed arm a gruesome reminder of the horrors we'd faced. David's foot was mangled, the bone visible through the torn flesh. Jenny was bruised and battered, but alive. As we lay there, the realization hit us. We had escaped Eliza's house, but we would never truly be free of it. The darkness we had encountered would haunt us forever. A reminder of the night we ventured into the shadows and faced the unblinking eyes of madness. We vowed to never speak of that night again, but the memory of Eliza's laughter and those piercing, unblinking eyes will follow us to our graves, a testament to the darkness that lies just beyond the veil of reality. The stain she left on us was too great to bear. Family, family, family. Thank you for listening in to another Can I Knife Creepypasta. Sleep well, if you can.